Are you a big Wes Anderson fan?
Yeah.
He's got a new movie that came out.
I haven't heard that he's releasing anything.
The Phoenician Scheme. Did you ever see Asteroid City?
Asteroid City. Fourth wall breaking movie.
Do you understand anything going on in that movie?
Well, it's a movie about a movie being made. But then...
Well, it's about a movie about a movie about a movie, right? Like, because at one point they segue into a movie discussing the movie being made. Because there's that thing where the guy gets shot.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it again, but yeah.
But then isn't it, if I recall correctly, isn't all the real life stuff
because
black and white? Or am I making that up?
I do not remember.
Like at the end, when it was all real life, I felt like the real life stuff was all black and white.
I gotta watch.
I've watched this movie twice,
yeah.
Griffin, or it's a documentary about the movie being made, which is not really the real life of the movie.
Dude,
here's all I'm going to tell you: the movie is fantastic. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's hard to follow, but
it's also beautifully done. It's fun.
Yeah, Wes Anderson, so it's hard to like not enjoy just looking at it.
You should look up the cast list for this, though. Did you ever see Grand Budapest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This one feels, this Phoenician Scheme reminds me a little bit like it could be more towards Grand Budapest.
Grand Budapest was probably one of his best, yeah.
And this one feels like this is in line with that style.
Okay.
But it is, I think it's...
Wow, a lot of random people. Michael
like,
Cera, Tom Hanks. I mean, some of these are classic, like Bill Murray's in basically every movie he has.
All of his, yep.
But... yeah, okay.
But there's also some people you do
Willem
not expect.
Dafoe. Okay.
Yeah.
And Bryan Cranston's.
He comes back. He's usually, I don't think Benicio del Toro is all that frequent, is he? For his movies?
I don't think so. But yeah, he's in this one.
Michael Cera's in it.
That's
as you said, Tom Hanks is in there. Oh, Richard Ayoade.
The IT man
the guy
himself.
From the IT crowd. Scarlett Johansson's in it. Really want to see this film. It just looks really good. I love Wes Anderson movies. I think it's going to be great. The trailer looks fantastic. Could be fun. So hopefully next time we sit down and chat more, I'll be able to tell you it's good. Look, we are horribly partied out for this episode of the Lighthouse IT Solutions Podcast. But we are excited to be here. We're excited to talk some tech. Probably a little bit of AI. Maybe a little less movies. We'll see.
AI
we'll talk
movies?
about space.
At some point, we're going to talk about the first AI movie to be released in theaters. I bet you that'll happen.
It's coming. Because you have these things with the AI babies. Somebody explained this to me. The baby films.
What baby? What?
Like people are taking common like TikToks and stuff and like converting everybody into like babies.
Oh, dude, I must be missing this.
You're supposed to be younger than me. How is it that social media is working better on me than you? Well, I guess I answered my own
I'm not on TikTok though.
I mean, I follow it elsewhere, so TikTok, and then it goes to the other places. But they take like common like funny skits and they run them through and they babify them. So those wacky babies doing crazy things.
Maybe it's because every time I see a baby, I just hit report.
Like even on your nieces and nephews.
That's all family photos.
I don't want to see
report.
This. You hit report, and I don't want to see this.
Unfollow, baby. Well, we got some cool stuff going, though. One of the cool things about this AI thing, though, is this Claude 4 coming out, man.
It's an AI thing. It's going to be
this
a
whole
thing.
AI thing. I sound like an old man now, yeah.
Get off my lawn. Listen, computers, man. I bet you they're the wave of the future.
Dude, this Google thing's going to be huge.
Thing, it could be huge. I'm excited for it, yeah. You might be onto something, Griff. Let's get in the ground floor of Google.
I bet you that soon there won't even be normal apples. They'll be like tech apples.
Oh, man. All right, well, look, let's talk a little bit about Claude 4. You're absolutely right. You bring it up, but I'm super excited for Claude 4. Claude 4, codename... Opus? Yeah. Is probably one of the biggest rivals, I'd say, to OpenAI, your GPT. And one of the things that we've learned about 3.7 Sonnet, I really like 3.7 Sonnet because it does a lot of like programmatic tasks. It's very technical. And they say that Claude 4 is able to effectively perform an entire 7 hours day of work. And I don't know why they say that programmers only work 7 hours.
They said that this is probably only going to last autonomously for 7 hours.
Yeah,
so
that
it says
could,
close to a full day's work. Yeah.
Well, I just thought they were taking a slam against programmers.
That's what it sounded like when I read it too. Yeah. But yeah, it's supposed to do amazing complex tasks, which is cool. But the coding side is the cool part in my mind. It's supposed to be
3.7 was very good at. Admittedly, though, I would say Gemini 2.5 Pro was better.
You say it's against.
So now I don't know how this will compare. Open.
I think it's not even OpenAI's biggest rival. It says so in this article, but it seems like Gemini, honestly, in my opinion. But
Gemini is kind of coming.
Exploding a little bit. So,
but the problem with Gemini is, I don't see them monetizing it too. Like, there are a million different directions.
I mean, they're just trying to get it embedded into Chrome and all that stuff. That's the biggest focus right now.
That makes sense.
OpenAI is not really trying to do that necessarily. So,
the Anthropic sort of story is kind of cool because they started off even as recently as the end of last year. They were developing chatbots, like intelligent chatbots.
Yeah.
Having it be able to converse. That was largely their goals. And then at the beginning of the year, or towards the end of last year, they really shifted it to being able to conduct tasks. And that's why you see it shoot up in the ability to do development work.
That's where everything's going right now. Being able to actually do things instead of just suggest.
Yeah, I'm excited for Opus. That's one of my favorites is 3.7.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I think the fact that it's Amazon backed really, affects its direction and whatnot. Similar to Gemini, But
you figure a lot of these guys are backing these these LLMs because you want to be on the ground floor. You want to be the winner.
Yep.
Microsoft's got a huge stake in OpenAI.
It's so funny where Apple's at right now with all this.
You mean nowhere?
Yep. I mean, maybe they're like holding off, like holding back what they're really doing, but it seems like they are not.
They are screwed.
Well.
And did you see OpenAI bought, I believe his name's Jony Ives, has a new company. He's responsible for a lot of the design of Apple products. They bought he has a new little company.
And OpenAI is trying to release a device of some sort, but we don't know much about it yet.
What I've learned, here's what I've heard, is the device is basically a necklace. So it's a wearable.
Cool. Okay.
And effectively, the way you can think about it is that imagine it has the ability to have vision, so it can see your surroundings, and it has the ability to process the requests.
Yeah.
But understand it's going to take in your surroundings as part of it. We talk about AI prompt. It'll be able to not just...
So it's a body cam.
It's a body cam, but the body cam is not really used for anything other than understanding where you are to help feed context into what you're asking.
Interesting. Is it visible? Is it a camera that uses visible light?
That's where I don't really have any pictures or anything. Yeah. It's just what I've been able to hear from several sources is that you'll get wearable, you'll get necklace, and I do think a necklace makes sense because for most people, a necklace would not be out of the case. Like the Meta glasses, great idea. Not everybody wears some glasses.
Yeah.
Or some people do wear glasses, so they need them to be prescription.
Yeah, and they can't wear this now. Well, they do. They spent $6.5 billion on this AI device this far.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
With no screen,
And they were trying to keep it a secret, but for whatever reason, it got leaked. Here we are. I think that's fascinating. Meanwhile, Apple is the big thing that you're going to see come out of AI that everybody says, hey, this is the one we get to the game changer, is to replicate the movie Her. Well, okay, maybe not, but
maybe not exactly.
But assistants, AI-based assistants, are really going to be where they are focusing. How to help you make your life easier. Google's got plans. Microsoft's got plans. Apple has Siri, but we don't really see them. We see them making cold and timid steps into the AI industry.
Yeah.
We don't see them making deep moves, and so the issue is like, what is Apple's strategy? Because the big ones have already shown their hands.
Yeah, usually Apple waits for innovation to come to light, and then they, capitalize on it. But honestly, innovation has come to light. Where's your capitalization, Apple?
That's the best way to put that is, they may not be so innovative that they're bleeding edge, but they take common technology and make it very accessible.
Look at the MP3 player, yeah.
And to be honest, we're seeing that. So what are they waiting on? Or are they just successfully keeping their mouth shut?
Yeah, that's the other option, but I kind of doubt it.
And there is concerns about these AI assistants,
Oh, yeah.
because, some people are using them for love or to replace love.
Like we said in the last podcast with the statistics of people utilizing AI, a lot of it's, therapy-based, and people are concerned.
And the issue is
that's not a licensed therapist. Yeah.
It's creating false connection.
Yep. There's already been cases of, people having issues with this, so we'll see what happens, but
meanwhile, everybody else is like AI, 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 and Apple's like, hey, so we're going to change how we number our operating systems.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest news.
That's the big news.
But honestly, it's so nice, man. Now we're going to finally be like, oh, okay, what version are you on? Is it that year? Because iOS 26, for example, will be next year.
iOS, I don't have a problem with. It's 17, 18, 19, blah, blah, blah. It's the Mac OS.
Yeah, macOS
it's
is all
10.17, 10.25. We get it. You love Mac OS X, and that's what you've always wanted us to say. But maybe at this point you should drop, and I think they largely have dropped the X from the moniker. But then it's like, are you Sequoia? Are you Big Sur?
Yeah.
Are you Lion Guard? I don't know. Whatever mythical town you live in.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I don't know what that means. So
I'm excited for the consistency.
The Mac OS side will be nice and they'll love it because they can stop using their creative energy to come up with names of trees.
Of national parks. Yeah. Yeah, so iOS, iPad OS, Watch OS, all that.
They'll all be based on a release date.
Yep.
So the next major operating system that we're going to get is 26.
Yep.
But again, that's really confusing on the iPhones and everything where they've been doing it properly. You're going to jump from, I think version 19 releases soon, right?
Yeah, we're on 18 now.
This year.
So we're going to jump, 5,
next
6,
year,
7.
you're going to jump to 26.
Yeah. Confusing, but I'm here for consistency. So
it'll make sense eventually.
Yeah. I do wonder if Windows is going to follow suit on something like that. But Windows has always been.
So it's funny because the servers always have.
Yeah, because it's server
2019
or whatever.
Server 22.
Yeah.
Server 26. They've always done that.
I feel like for Windows though, that would actually make it so buy-in on the new software would be so much easier.
Because when it was released, you're like, oh, well, what version of Windows are we running? 2012. Oh, so that's 12 years old.
Yeah, forever ago, guy. Let's update. Because right now we're having issues on Windows 10 out to Windows 11, and Windows 10 was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Windows 11, it's already 5 years, so we're already due for Windows 12. Come on.
Well, I thought Windows 11 was the last version of Windows. Oh, no, Windows 10
was the last version of Windows.
Last version of Windows.
Yeah.
And then we got Windows 11, which was the last version. So the last version of Windows should come up in version 12.
Yeah, it should be pretty soon, yeah.
All right. Have you ever been curious about a piece of software? And you're like, there's a trial. I'm going to use this trial. So you pick up the trial.
Trials are great, honestly.
And then you're like, I'm still not sure. So at the end of that trial, you just sign up for a new trial key.
I rarely do that, but yeah.
And then start to build your entire business
based on a trial.
Based on this trial. So then every 30 days, you're creating a trial key.
And having to
rebuild. never buying the software, of course. And then before you know it, you've got something like 4,000 servers you're running. And you start going through your entire company's list of internal email addresses.
Just to get
everybody signed up for a key.
Just to get 100 trials.
Because you started this in 2015.
Oh my God.
So then what you do is you start using personal emails. Then you probably figure that's not such a good idea. So then you start using a Gmail account, and then you start making the Gmail account sequential.
For a small business who can't afford, I guess, some really pricey software,
it's
maybe makes sense.
It's just a small organization, only has about $130 million in revenue.
Oh, okay. So not a small business.
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool.
4,000 servers. just something like that. Yeah. What if I also told you that the software that they're trialing is open source and has a free version?
None of this makes sense. So what?
None of this makes sense. I love this story. So I was reading an article from somebody who works over at Vates. And Vates is one of the maintainers of the XCP NG virtualization platform. This is like a VMware, a Hyper-V, KVM. It's an open source fork of Zen Server. It's part of the Zen project.
Familiar with Zen Server?
Yeah. So it's part of that ecosystem. And Vates is largely maintaining the XCP NG. It's open source, but like a lot of companies in the open source market, they have a paid-for version that makes life easier.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here you go. There's community support. We don't really help you out. But then what they do is they have this completely turnkey orchestration server.
Nice.
That helps automate everything. That is what you are trying to buy. Well, what's out of this world about this situation is that while not as easy as being able to use the turnkey appliance, this whole time, this organization has been using trial keys to activate the turnkey appliance rather than build their own and have it be completely legal, completely no problems, whatever. Instead, this organization, which coincidentally, XCP NG's logo is a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure probably helped the sale of this semi-governmental organization, has literally been signing up since April 2015.
Wow.
For new trial keys every single month for over a decade.
Wow. That's so much more work, though. I mean, how expensive is this product? Jeez.
And the crazy thing is that when it pops up, the company name puts in their company name in the space provided.
I mean, so did this company reach out to that? Like, what there's no communication, no nothing? Does anybody talk about this issue?
Here's where this guy's coming from. He's like, could they make a bigger deal out of it? He's just like, look, here's what drives them nuts. They've actually reached out and helped do some setup things for them. Because you sign up for a trial key, they want you to be successful.
Yeah.
So they've actually had multiple interactions with this organization to help them use the software.
And yet they're still signing up for a trial.
And it's their right if they don't want to use the appliance. They can get the software for free.
Yeah, but why not just use the open source version then? Like, you're using the trial because
that's what their whole thing
is
like, not only you're wasting resources per se, but you're really wasting resources because this product obviously has a value to you. Otherwise, you would just use the open source.
Yeah.
So why not reward the company that has written it for you?
Yeah.
And support them.
Especially if you're this big. Like, you have money for that. Because that's probably like pocket change.
It's mind-boggling. And this is also that you can easily automate and orchestrate, VMs and move them around and load balance them. And it blows me away. Blows me away.
So I was reading an article about data privacy and such, which is a common theme here, going through cybersecurity and stuff. We were actually just talking about the 23andMe purchase. There was a big survey where a lot of Gen Z people say, yeah, I would accept $50 a month, for example, to allow advertisers to utilize my data.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So based on, browsing, buying, streaming habits, whatever, about 88% of Gen Zers say they're open to doing this with, social media companies and whatnot.
In the past, like, it doesn't seem to bother them. Yeah. They just assume their data is going to get exposed anyways.
Which is 88% is nearly everybody. But what's wild is older generations, Gen X and whatnot, 67% say they're cool with that too. And yeah, there's some stipulations with how the survey was conducted on, this is specifically advertising data. This is not personal. This is, this is what you buy versus like your financial data and things like that, or where you live, for example. But still, that's massive. But Gen Z spends 7 hours a day on social media, basically. So like, that's a lot.
Already being sold.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a lot of data already. So they're like, why not get paid for it, I guess? But $50 a month, is that worth the privacy?
Yeah, and they wouldn't actually be paid the $50 a month. They would just get benefits of service.
You're not getting cash, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, are you willing to do that? Like, I feel like I'm not, but Maybe I'm in the
Can I be honest?
minority here.
I'm on the fence about it. It depends on the thing that is providing me that money.
Yeah.
Because, one, there is a concept of usually when you are being tracked for ads, the ads have a relevancy, and that's kind of nice. Like, I don't want ads for diapers or whatever. Like,
You turn off your targeted advertising stuff, and honestly, it's a way worse experience in some ways.
no, it's more infuriating because here's some ad I really don't care about.
Yeah, dude, I don't need to see that little blue pill. Get out of here.
No, I mean, I'm okay with those, but that's different. That's different in age. But you're right. Like, that is, to be honest with you, that is my big thing. It's like, I do like the idea of targeted advertising. I don't want to admit that, Griff. Like, I really don't want to tell you that.
Probably
the reality is, I would rather see ads that are tailored for me because maybe there is a deal. Maybe there is something. I don't mind admitting I'm a consumer.
Especially new products that I'm interested in. Like, I actually want this accessory for a product I already own.
But
like,
it's really hard for me to also say, okay, when's enough, and what are you actually collecting about me?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're going to pay me off, but what is the value?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I actually giving up? You're giving me $50. That means you're making X dollars more than that.
Yeah.
You're able to pay me.
And does that fluctuate like month to month? We live in a world where that is such a huge financial gain for advertisers.
Yeah.
Like, your data is worth something for sure. But yeah, this is all just a survey on asking those questions and whatnot. So none of this came directly from.
I think it's a great question. I think it's a great thing to realize. It's like, not a great thing, but it's an important detail to think about. Is like, what is your data worth to you? And at some point, I think people are exhausted about trying to protect some of their data. And if you get something out of it, then okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you come into work, you get paid to do work. Like, in some ways, you're going to get compensation for doing something, but this has more to do with you having fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's, pennies.
Very passive.
Pennies an hour, but yeah.
It's the movie WALL-E starting to happen.
Yeah.
That's why we know that they all just sort of drive around on the fat guy, floating
hovercrafts, yeah.
And none of them ever seem to be working.
Well, they are. They're watching ads.
They are watching ads.
They're making purchases. They're being
with what?
Consumers.
With the money they got from ads.
It's a vicious cycle. Yeah, that's weird.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, I do want to talk about something with LinkedIn is kind of interesting. And
I'm going to like this story. I'm fascinated with LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's big. I read a survey about how people are about 40% or so focusing on LinkedIn and then 60 or so just on Instagram. And that is wildly industry specific. Like, for an industry focused on hiring people, it's going to be LinkedIn. For a industry focused on selling a product to consumers, it's going to be Instagram. So very different on different things. But LinkedIn, over the course of the past 5 years, has grown exponentially. So it's important to understand how their algorithm works. And not everybody is as transparent as LinkedIn, which is kind of odd. But LinkedIn has kind of a good breakdown on the high level of how it works. So I'm going to give you a rundown that's even more high level.
Okay, hit me.
So the post life cycle is fascinating. A lot of the times when I'm talking to clients, it's like, hey, I just saw a post that was like 3 weeks ago. Why am I finally seeing this or whatever? And this helps kind of explain why, because there's like time decay and a whole bunch of stuff. But largely, these are the 6 steps. So boom, hit post, right? Spend all this time doing some cool stuff, and now your post's live. And LinkedIn immediately is like, all right, is this spam or is this real? So right away, it'll classify it as spam. It gets rid of it. Almost no % of your followers see it if that's the case. But otherwise, it'll go in and say, cool, this isn't spam. But let's still look to see if this is a high quality post or a low quality post. And that is very dependent on some back-end stuff that LinkedIn does, whether it has an image, if it's a carousel, if it has just text, if it has engaging hooks and things like that. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on to classify that. But just know, low quality versus high quality.
Okay.
And then it actually only shows it to 10 to 15% of your first degree connections or 10 to 15% of your followers, depending on if it's a business page or not. And that is kind of like the small test group. The like, is this going to be successful? Is this going to be a post that people actually want to see? That's all based on this monitoring. So likes, views, reactions, comments, all that, how that works. And if it does, then it will basically send it to more people, and then it starts to do these like increments of 10%. And then it further scores that engagement based on those people, and then it starts to go out more and more and more. But interestingly, it also has these virality triggers once it starts to get to a point where it starts to consider this could be a viral post. And that's all like keywords and stuff. And then in videos, it's based on timing, like how far in did it go, and versus like if it's 5 seconds in and someone hit like,
Yeah.
why, is that
Really?
viral, things like that. And then from there, it will go through and say, okay, this is, a viral post, or this is high quality or whatever. These triggers are met. Expand reach beyond followers. Is this second degree? Is this third degree? We're not really sure. That just, what does viral mean?
Basically,
to
you're
LinkedIn?
subsetting into now outside. We'll do some free promotion.
Yep. Because this is engaging posts, so why not make it a?
Well, you want people to stay on your platform.
Exactly. This is now LinkedIn promotion instead of the
instead
specific.
of paid promotion.
Yep. And that comes in with whether or not is time decay going to become a thing? Is this going to decay within a week into oblivion? Or is it going to continue to be viral and the time decay? Because no matter what, there's going to be time decay. Is it going to be much slower?
But I'm sure that they take effect into determining that decay based on engagement.
Based on engagement, yep.
That's fascinating.
And that's literally the whole life cycle. There's really nothing else outside of that. So
And it all makes perfect sense.
makes perfect
I
sense.
kind of am bummed that your followers, only 10 to 15% of your followers
Yeah, and I kind
will
of knew
see
that.
that content.
But like that is such a small amount. Your first degree connections, like 10 to 15% for that first little classification.
For every 100 followers, only 15 are potentially seeing it.
Yeah.
That feels a little low because they are your followers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. But LinkedIn is pushing these viral posts more on your homepage and your feed and stuff. So these are people you're not following, you're not interacting with, but they've classified it as a engaging post, which I do. Do I want to see that? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. So
Get the wrong 15% though. That's my only hang up on this is that my followers are not reliably getting content from me.
Yep.
Outside of the rest of this, I agree with it. It makes perfect sense.
If this is similar to how like Instagram works, Instagram has a fix for that because you can go to the top left and you can hit following specifically. I want to see posts only from people I'm following, but you can't do that in LinkedIn. So you're pretty much forced into that.
Yeah.
But I think that's a fascinating thing that is super important for anybody posting on LinkedIn to understand how that kind of works. But also know that you got to have a high quality post in some manner. And honestly, that's probably the thing that changes the most, that fluctuates the most in terms of what is considered a high quality versus a low quality post. And a lot of that's going to be based on engagement, like Google, the user engagement is the most important thing.
Probably the type of media.
And
Maybe
that's
the
why
length of media.
That's why carousel, those little, like you see those slide decks or whatever. That's why those are so big because people are engaging with that specifically. Yeah, there's a photo on it, but now there's another photo. I see an arrow. Let's click that. And, that's how more engagement happens. That's why there's higher quality posts. And I mentioned Google a little bit. Google actually released a whole new set of guidelines for their AI search, which people are basically dubbing it SEO again. But instead of search engine optimization, they're just saying search everywhere optimization.
Get to keep the same acronym.
Yep. So this search everywhere optimization, and none of the guidelines are really that different. It is simply optimizing your page design for users to be able to understand and have a good experience online.
We have a hint. The easier your website is to understand, the easier that AI can understand it.
Exactly. That's
The
really
easier your data is going to get presented.
Yep.
Possibly stolen, but we've always said as long as you've been doing this, I've always heard you say, don't worry so much about what the search bot says because they're looking for genuine content that has value.
Yep.
Make the content accessible and easy for their users to find.
Absolutely.
And you will be rewarded. And I'll be darned if we're in the age of AI and your advice still holds true.
Still the same. There's a lot of differences with how like blog optimizations and whatnot work now. But funny enough, homepage traffic is up right now. And this is very specific towards people with established brands already. And not that that hurts small businesses. Small businesses have established brands as well. But if you're new to this and you don't have an established brand, it is much harder than it was before. But if you're an established brand right now, it's actually not bad. And to become an established brand, like the blog article says for, establishing this Google foo, you have to do all the search everywhere optimization. Make a Google business profile, make a Bing business profile, make all your social medias, get everywhere so that you become an established brand. And then cool, now your homepage is going to pop up. It's not very complex, admittedly, especially when people are searching for you specifically versus, contractors near me or something like that. It's funny to know that some of this is not actually changing too much with AI.
No, but the foundational things that when we started the momentum side, it was, look, we want to demystify this concept because there's this word floating around called search engine optimization, and pay us this, get this. And I think it's a great thing for our clients to know that your process was built on something better and greater than just short-term gains.
Yeah.
Because all of those people that are paying $500 for
some
front page ranking, they're not getting that.
Yeah. That's
and
why
either that service has gotten way more expensive or they never actually got it. But you've always preached organic and usable growth. And when I say usable, your job is to understand your customer and educate them. And you know what? When your customer is educated, they will build a loyalty to you. And what's amazing is look, keep it simple, keep it structured. And now in this world of AI, stay accessible.
Yep.
Which you said, let's get you on everything. Use your website to leverage that because you have control over your website.
Yep.
The things that Facebook, LinkedIn are doing today, they could change next week, but your website could still be useful for that.
Yep.
So if you're leveraging your website, that's really important because you control that experience. I think it's refreshing to hear, we always went about it as SEO is not black magic, it's work. Educate your customer, work on a good experience.
Yeah.
You will be rewarded. I love the fact that we're a decade later in this process. And you know what? What's the best way to get front page? Educate your customers, do good work, you will be rewarded.
Yeah. Invest in building your brand and stop focusing on, the short-term games.
Get your name to be synonymous with what it is.
Yep.
Well, I think that does it for this episode of Lighthouse IT Solutions Podcast. Thanks for sticking around, checking us out. If anything, go check out Wes Anderson movies this week. You got that from us. And really, look, AI is not going anywhere. I'm excited that we are trying to put together some stuff, and I'm starting to slide a little bit behind on some of that.
Got your first Lighthouse Labs video out.
The first Lighthouse Labs video's out. I got more coming, so I'm excited for you guys to see those. These are just sort of highlights of things that we do. Make sure you check those. Those are collaborated alongside our YouTube videos. I encourage you to check out the lab because you'd be surprised at what types of things we do, what types of things we've engineered, the companies and the brands that we've built relationships with. We've evolved so much over the past years that the lab feature is really a great way for you to see new equipment that we get through our door, solutions that we've built and developed, all kinds of stuff. I'm really excited about what we can do with the labs. All right, that does it for another episode of the Lighthouse IT Solutions Podcast. Griff, thank you so much for joining me, making time. We're going to keep pumping that coffee. We're coming off of that at the beginning of the summertime. We're going to go surf the Portage River, kayak it. I guess we'll do some kayaking.
Yeah, totally.